evening, everyone. So glad to see you. I'm glad you could join us. I guess I don't actually see you, but you can see us. Magic of the internet. We have episode 5 of season 5 coming your way tonight. There was a lot that happened last week, so I think we're going to jump straight into the recap provided by Richard so graciously, and then we're going to get started shortly thereafter. Are we good to go then, Richard, on the recording in the feed?
Yep. So long as it's played through, it should be fine.
Last time, on the wrong side of the wall, our party was split 3 ways. Task, Cyrus, and Kale were taken in by the Knights Errant to be processed at the Free Hospital, a government-run institution for the vagabonds and refugees to receive better health care, positioned just at the edge of the walls surrounding the city proper. However, the trio was bombarded by some kind of psychic energy, or possibly distorted imagery and information, that knocked Cyrus and Kale out cold through their ocular nerves. Task remained standing, but the crew of the Owls succumbed and were stolen away. Task attempted to locate the others and found that the armed men patrolling the halls had a small seam around their faces, potentially the mark of the same serial killer they've been trying to locate. Zaniel and Themrir managed to leap across the city in an attempt to rescue their companions, and secretly hitch a ride on another shuttle, picking up refugees. The trip takes only moments to the hospital, but as they close the last bit of distance, their shuttle is shot down with a beam of light. Task sprints through the halls of the hospital, finding himself stuck in an infinite loop of hallways with frequently flashing lights. He attempts to pull an electrical box out of a wall, and discovers the hall will also repair itself. Upon physically walking through a door, the Black Oracle box agrees to show Task the makeup of the building, and sinks its teeth into his hand, and takes some of his blood. The room around Task suddenly changes and becomes more mechanical, the true form of the Free Hospital. He rushes off to locate his companions. Cyrus and Kale awaken in the dark, strapped to cold sheets of metal, hanging from a rack on the ceiling in the belly of the beast. Slowly, they realize the Free Hospital has turned out to be nothing but a smoke screen for a cyborg installation facility, with deadly results. With their quick thinking, they manage to escape their bounds and sabotage some of the equipment. Not enough to save those gone ahead, but possibly sparing the souls yet still to be changed. Zaniel and Themrir survive the crash of their vessel and watch a squad of heavily armed soldiers massacre the police forces defending the front of the hospital. These men are led by a man in slick black armor with long gray hair and multiple facial scars, who orders his men to take out someone named Irving and their puppy, and the squad enters the building to begin their fight. Task comes across Cyrus and Kale, and suddenly the trio are beset by monstrous beings made by melded flesh and bone, made by someone who seemed to only have been an amateur. Imitations that Task recognizes as inferior copies of ones he had seen before at another time on another Earth. Meanwhile, the dragon and the druid follow the carnage and come across a door protected by a magical seal of some sort that the Death Squad seems unable to see. Zaniel steps through the door with some of his remaining powers and opens it from the other side, leading the two to meet up with the others. However,
So you found me, but this is going to be the place where you end.
Nice. Very cool.
Very nice effect on the trailing there.
Yeah, using
I liked
actuality in my
the
stuff.
stadium. I liked the stadium, like echo kind of thing you added there. That was cool. So, yeah, very nice. Oh,
All right.
GM, one thing I want to mention before we continue. I just wanted to say I don't think it's made explicit that the man in black armor wanted to take down Irving, just his puppy.
You're right. He said that need to take Irving's puppy out, but not Irving.
Yeah.
And so that small clarification aside, I think that was great, Richard. Thank you very much.
Yeah, really well done.
Now, is that because Irving actually likes kitties better than puppies?
That might be it.
Yeah, he seems like a cat kind of person.
Makes sense.
Figured it out.
Yeah.
Nice.
We know another.
Anyone
cat
want to
kind of
add
person
anything else they think is a salient point?
I think Richard covered it well.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
It's
All right,
3
excellent.
hours to write it.
We didn't have any poop breaks, so I think our characters need to spend some time having a bathroom break.
Well, I mean, you'll have to do it on the run.
Yuck.
No, we're trying to be realistic here, so I figured.
I mean, hey, half of us hung out in the sewer. You don't know.
That's right.
Yeah.
Got your business done while you were doing your business.
Yeah, well,
There you
that's
go.
the best place to do it because it's kind of
On the
camouflaged.
run. On the run with the runs.
Oh,
Oh dear.
and I'll drop that now. Okay. Bye.
So this session is starting off like this. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Let's wind ourselves back in from where we were.
Yes.
There was a final joining of individuals. It seems like this whole time, it seems maybe longer than it has been. It's only been, what, hours since you all first met at that tavern? But inside that time, some of you been knocked out, been tied up, been drugged, been threatened with torture and worse than death. Others of you have needed to run halfway across the city and hitch a ride on a rather explosive shuttle and follow a goon squad of death troopers into a hospital. And at least one of you has needed to break through multiple doors, both physically and within their mind, allowing themselves to see what was really there, to truly see. It came with a cost for all of you, these activities. You're tired. You're maybe a little drained. None of you started off at the top of your game. Some of you have been jumping from world to world for years now. Some of you have been writing names and keeping memories of the dead. Some of you have been trying to figure out where life went so completely wrong in just the last few weeks. After a ride on a rocket up to the top of the heap, suddenly you're down at the bottom again. And one of you is so far out of the places that he would call home, and so far away from his friends, that he's been struggling with trying to understand what happened in the world around him and find his place in it, with all the knowledge and wisdom that a 3-year-old can bring to bear. It's been a struggle for all of you, in other words. But imminent death can help with that sort of fatigue. There's that little shot of adrenaline. The glands start to work because they don't want to be in a body that's cut to pieces or smashed flat. The heart starts beating harder. You feel it almost like a pain, but it doesn't speak of imminent failure, but of determination. Whatever energies you have left to you feel like they are ready, whether they're physical energies or magical, emotional, mental. You recognize in your innermost being that you probably need to fight as hard as you can in the next few minutes. Now, part of the reason why is all the trouble you went through to get here. But the other part of the reason why is what happens once you've arrived. Threatening voice, of course. None of you recognize it. Unfortunately, the people who could have told you who that voice belongs to aren't here right now. But it's not a voice that seems to promise anything particularly good. The other element, of course, is the force field that springs up inside the room as soon as all of you are in. The door slams shut behind you, and even beneath your feet, there's a hum of energy. You can see the walls start to glow a certain yellowish color. For those of you who have hair, the hair starts to stand up on the back of your neck and on your arms. You can feel the sheer lethal potential of the fields that have sprung up around you. Even if you could break through doors or walls or floors, chances are very good that there would be something much sterner and much more deadly waiting for you on the other side. There'll be no escaping this room. And that's the final reason why you're all feeling like it's do or die. Because as the room energizes, panels start to slide, gears start to turn, you can hear motors whirring to life, and a thick guck of the sewer system that you've just come through, some of you, starts to flow through tubes in the room. You can see the mixed offal and blood being pumped from one side to the other, from some deep well beneath, into and through tubing that runs transparently through this entire room, as a massive panel slides back.
Really, I was expecting something more serious than the bunch of you. I can't believe that Black Talon would have sent just a ragtag bunch of nobodies. But I suppose it'll do for a warm-up. He's needed a test, you know, before it'll be suitable for my mind. My beautiful bone titan.
And the walls continue to slide back, revealing a massive structure. Starts at the bottom, work our way to the top. There's a machine and a skeleton. And you can see places where the bones mesh with machinery, where tubes run in and through, and the thick black reddish goo starts to pour through them. And you can see that actually the bones aren't bones at all. They're thick tubing of some kind, semi-translucent. You can see lights start up inside of them as the red goo starts to work its way through, bottom to top, left to right. And the thing shudders, almost as though it were coming to life, almost as though it were waking up. It stretches and it pulls itself free from some of its restraints. The tubing is still running in and through it from the walls.
This won't be much of a workout for it, but I hope you'll give it your best efforts. I've been eager to see how it performs.
And the thing steps forward one step after another. There's not really much room for you to maneuver. The ceiling here is extremely high. There's lots of up, but there doesn't seem like much out. And if each of you would be so kind, they're going to move over to, let's see here.
Nope.
Don't be a
Kirk, he's
wussy.
asking for
Accept your death.
He's asking for your kindness, but this is happening whether you choose to be kind or not.
Nope.
You can't just be pounded into dust by
It's
the
just a
bone
picture.
titan.
It can't hurt me, okay?
You're wrong, Kirk. It's a picture that Chris has attached numbers to. It can hurt you.
Now it can hurt you, indeed.
Not numbers. My one true weakness. How did you know?
Right, we're going to move you over here so that you can click on your... Oh, not there.
Oh, see, it's gone. We won, guys. Yes.
You did it. And move over here so you can click on
The dark
your
place. Not the
appropriate
not the dark
tokens
place.
and roll me initiative,
Don't
please.
wait. Do you have to put our names on the turn order before we do this? Or-
No,
I
if
shouldn't
you-
have to.
No, if you click your guy,
Yeah, click your token
on that,
and then click initiative. That should add you to the turn
yeah.
order automatically.
Okay, you're
Like so.
damn. That's a bad roll. You know what? Can I spend an experience to reroll that?
Oof.
If you really want to.
Got enough.
I got 2, so you got before me or whatever.
Oh, why am I going first?
Am I gonna do this? How many rerolls will I feasibly need before? Yeah, I'll reroll this. Why the hell not?
Go for it.
Oh crap! I forgot to spend my XP. What? Well, we didn't go over what the options were last week.
You know what? Actually, I realized it's going to cause problems with the turn tracker. I'm not re-rolling this.
I know it won't cause problems. We can.
I don't
You
care.
can just
enough.
re-roll it and I'll change the number.
I don't care enough to
All
go
right.
through the hassle.
All of the options were in the game book, which was linked in the file section, Kirk. So if you haven't done it by now, I don't want to interrupt the session to do it.
No, that's fine. It's just like we said we were going to cover it last week after the session, and we never did.
Okay. Well, the thing that you probably want to do is one of two things. You can either put one edge into one category, or you can put 4 attribute points spread amongst your pool, however you like.
I see. Okay. All right. Sorry.
No worries. So you can decide whether you want to do that to spend your XP, but you'd better do it quick if that's what you have in mind,
Yeah. No, that's fine.
because you are first to go.
Yeah. No kidding. Well, it won't affect those things I do in the first round here.
All right.
So how tall is this thing? Like big?
It is
Big.
dozens of man heights tall. Right. Consider the room that you were in, and I'll take you back there to take a look at it. So for scale, see that little wall that is below the level of its ankles?
Like where all the pipes are and stuff?
Yeah, that's above your heads.
Oh, okay. So that's what, like 10 feet, and then I guess the skeleton guy is at least like 20 stories or something.
Something like that.
Okay. So there's tons of room above us. Are there like places above us that look like they might count for like ledges and stuff that we could like stand on?
There are lots of different places where you could potentially try and get on top of something or even behind some of the piping. This place is sort of a combination cyberpunk, steampunk kind of setup with all kinds of tubing and piping running off in all kinds of different directions. Right now, all that tubing seems to be absolutely chock full of this stream of offal that came from the sewer systems nearby. Just absolutely full of gunk and blood.
Oh, cool. All right. And like, it's not very wide. Like, it's basically the width of the skeleton, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so it's about like all 5 of you can fit in a row, shoulder to shoulder, and you have enough space to stretch your arms out. So it's pretty wide, but it's certainly not very wide from the perspective of the thing at the end of the room.
Excuse me. Okay. And everybody's here, so we got everybody. How far away is it from us? Is it within like a short distance, like 50 feet?
It would be about 50 feet-ish away, yes, at the moment.
All right.
It's about the length of its foot, Kirk.
Okay. Anybody got an idea? I can get somebody closer.
If the composition of this creature really is bone, I should be able to smash it.
Okay. Then I want to grab task. This is a very stupid I'm doing. But let's go for complete stupidness.
All right.
Not stupid in that it'll kill us, but stupid in that I'm probably going to die. All right,
One way to
Task.
find out.
Hold tight. And I'm going to cast a Layout.
Ooh.
It is an enabler, so it doesn't cost me an action.
All right, there you go. You've got a round of flight.
Cool.
Nice.
And so that does cost me 1 intellect. That's fine.
Weird matter.
Oh, this is also an enabler. Can you do multiple enablers or no?
Yep, as long as you can afford the cost.
Okay.
But remember that if you do it all in one round, the cost is cumulative.
Right. Yeah.
In that your edge only counts once.
Yep.
Yeah, I can move a long distance. Move a very long distance. The entire action. Oh, sweet. All right. And then I'm also going to enable that, which doesn't cost me anything. So I can move up to 100 feet or 500 feet if it's my entire action. All right, guys, change your plans. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to position you different spots, and we're going to take this shit out. Task, hold tight. So then I take Task and move him closer to the skeleton. So that's 50 feet.
Okay. So where in this room are you placing him? Are you trying to take him up as well as forward, or are you just trying to get him basically underneath of its feet?
As close as he can to like one of his feet. So if that's up like one of the 10-foot spots, sure.
So it's like 50 feet away from you in terms of horizontal distance, and it's 200 feet-ish up to get to its head. So where would you like to place him relative to that?
By his foot.
All right. So you're taking him basically 50 feet forwards.
Yeah.
Got it.
All right. We got a task up there. Cyrus, I'm going to get you to a vantage point.
Understood.
And then I have another 450 feet because this is all my action right now. So,
You're just zipping around the room.
Yeah.
These wings of weird matter burst out of your wherever. I'll let you decide.
not my
And-
butt. I'm a serious character, guys. I'm not a joke, all right?
You were thinking about it though, weren't you?
I was thinking about it.
And then you grab Task, you throw him out beneath his feet, and then you zip back into the air. You grab Cyrus. So you've gone back 50 feet back to where Cyrus is.
Yeah. And then
Another 400 to spend.
And then I want to take Cyrus to like a higher vantage point on like probably the left side. Like you see those vertical pipes there. I want to kind of get him to one of those, but off to like the furthest back one, like right where that ping is. Kind of there.
I think that works. So that's like 100 feet up, but it's basically in line with where you entered. So I'll just say that's 100 feet of your distance. So
Okay.
still have 300-ish to spend. 300,
And then I will come back.
200.
200. I'm trying to remember Kale's abilities. Did he need to be close? Based on the information I know of Kale's abilities already, did he have to be fairly close? From what I've seen so far?
Let's say you, Kale.
Not really close.
Not really close.
A good, like a medium distance is fine.
Okay, cool. Good. Wow. All right, Kale, you're next. Brace for impact, man. And then I take
Okay.
Kale and lift him up and move him to the right side, up there.
All right. So we'll call that another 100 feet.
Yep.
Just to keep it easy. Simple.
Ain't this
got-
fun, guys?
You got 100 left.
Sweet.
Damn.
Yeah, this is what I do. I move around at a speed faster than normal. It's weird. And then I think what I will do is I will actually stay with Kale for now because I want to see how he does his magic. And that's my turn. So,
All right. I'm actually going to have you roll something then as you watch him do his magic. Let's have an intellect roll from you with an unknown difficulty.
okay. Let's see. Unknown. I don't think I have anything here. Yeah, that needs an action, unfortunately. That's fine. Okay. Difficulty unknown, you said? Okay. So I'm totally going to pass this, of course. And so the first effort is 3, the second effort is 2. So I'm going to do 2 effort. That's fine. Beats a 6.
Okay. Beats difficulty 2. Not your best roll in the world, but we'll see what that ends up being
Yeah.
for you.
So technically, with the 2 effort, it beats a difficulty 8. Or beats a difficulty 4. Sorry. Yeah. With the 2 effort put in there.
Minus 2 steps. All
I think
right.
that's how that works.
Yep. All right. Very good, Zaniel. That was an excellent turn and fast, too.
What? Who would have guessed?
So, just as a reminder to everyone as they're thinking about all the motion that just happened, Cyrus is up and to the left. Right, you're about even with the bottom of the Titan's rib cage, the floating ribs at the base there.
Chill.
Zaniel and Kale are on the right, up at just about the pelvis level with the Titan. And Themrir, you're where you started, at the back of the room.
Move, yeah.
And Task, you are right underneath of its feet.
Tickle it.
I understand.
The Titan gets a turn. The Titan is moving a little awkwardly. It seems kind of like it's waking up from the base, from the bottom to the top. Its head lolls, and its shoulders drag, its arms still fixed to the structure around it. But its feet move quickly and start walking forward before it notices you, Task, and it stomps down. I'd like you to make a might roll with difficulty 6. I can't hear you.
You got this, boyo.
Ouch. Difficulty 6, eh? Oof.
It might be really big.
Might be really big.
It might be a giant skeleton boy.
This is
And
the
it's
first
surprisingly
I've heard of
fast.
this. Yeah.
What? It's fast?
That's the first I've heard of it.
Oh
Here
boy.
we go again.
You gotta stop making that. We've done it twice now. That's 200% more than we're
I
allowed
have to
in one
start saying the
session.
word quick instead.
Success?
No shot. He tied it. What the?
Easy.
Plus
Hell
two
yeah.
damage.
Incredible.
All right, no problem. Task,
Task is based.
Let's go.
the foot comes smashing down, this 200-foot Titan. And the structure you realize as you grab it, as it touches you, is not bone at all. It's some sort of mesh of metal and carbon fibers and plastics. It's something pretty tough. It has to be, because it lands on top of your fists. And as it tries to grind you into the ground below you deforms under the power of the blow, and you hold it. Your hands wrap around the edges of each of the Titan's massive foot. You have to basically stretch your arms out as far as they can go,
Right.
but your hands wrap around and you hold the foot as it tries to grind you down, and you push back. The
You just
Titan,
pulled off the trunks.
the Titan is pushed off balance slightly, and it smashes into the side of its assembly. The arms have not quite come to life yet, and they pinwheel slightly, sort of like someone who's woken up from pins and needles and can't quite control their arms. They flop loosely at the ends and can't catch it, so it smashes into the side assembly. And some of the blood and miscellaneous that were draining into it start flooding into the room. And it is flooding. The sheer volume of the liquid is surprising. It didn't seem like that much when it was all going into this creature, but it's quickly up past your ankles.
That quick, even with him being like 10 feet up? Jeez.
It's a lot of liquid and stuff going
Not
on.
not his ankles, your ankles.
Yeah.
And Task is on the ground.
Oh, no. Okay. I thought I moved Task up.
Because you just moved him forward, you said, 50 feet forward.
Oh,
Yeah,
because
that's
I was trying to move him like right where the foot was.
You did.
Well, the feet are actually behind. They're sitting on the ground.
Oh,
They're behind the
okay. Sorry, I
assembly here.
misunderstood. I was
Not
looking
to-
at the
not to
picture,
scale.
thinking the feet were on the platform or something. But yeah, no, that's fine.
Cool.
It's all good.
And that will have consequences for the Titan and for you guys in the future.
Okay.
I
Themrir,
don't
your turn.
believe in consequences until
That's
they
a
come.
word I do not know the word of.
How is everybody looking? Before they got zipped and zapped away by Zaniel, how was everybody physically looking?
Incredibly handsome.
Okay.
I
that's
was
one.
looking like a half elf in a robe.
Okay.
Cyrus
How-
looks pretty hale.
Pretty hale. Not hardy?
Now, does
I mean,
Kale look
that's
hale
already
or does
valid.
Kale look Kale?
Sorry, I'm still reeling.
I will make this easy for you. If I recall from last week, everyone should still be hale. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
Is anybody feeling frail instead of hale?
I'm not. I'm okay.
Maybe Kale?
I'm hale.
Okay.
I'm
I
not
need-
frail. I'm
Sorry.
hale.
I actually need
Who's
to
hale?
talk. I need to talk with Kale right now, so I'm just going to quickly hail Kale. And
But your tricorder's not working.
What the hell?
too bad there's a force field, or else I would bail.
So, in
Hail,
other
Kale.
words, Themrir, everyone's looking okay. They could be better, but they could be a lot worse.
Okay. I. Oh, God. I'm thinking what I can do.
You are the
because
death
this
god,
is
yes.
range. I might be a death god.
You might be.
So I'm currently seeing this stuff flow out of the bottom, the foot, the base of some kind of portion of this giant skeleton.
It's not coming out of the skeleton, it's coming out of the tubing around it.
Okay, there we go. I wanted the clarification there. Can I exacerbate that with a spell, if possible?
You could certainly try and damage more of the piping.
I think that I would like to do that where it's already damaged. I have a move. I have a move called Onslaught, which
Sounds pretty
attacks a
dope.
foe using energies that assail either their physical form or their mind. If the attack is physical, I emit a short-range ray of force that inflicts 4 points of damage. If it's mental, I focus that, and it goes through 2 points of intellect and ignores armor. But I don't know if I have to worry about that. I'm going to go for the physical one to see if I can straight up hit it with a bunch of force to knock more of it loose.
All right, I won't require you to make any roll. It's stationary. You hit it. It can't defend itself. And you deal some more damage to the piping around the room,
Nice.
right where it's already broken. And you can see that the tube bursts open completely on that side, some valve rupturing, and more of the ichor drips, drags, slides, floods into the room.
Does the
It's
ichor
a thick gunk.
does it make me feel anything? Seeing
You
it,
haven't
feeling it,
you
being
haven't been
around it.
submersed in it yet. It's still working its way back to you because it is a thick, very thick, gunky liquid, and you're still near the door.
Oh god, it's like molasses.
So it's flowing your way. The only thing that it might make you feel at this moment is a little bit grossed out.
Okay. Okay, then if anything, I take like a 5-foot step closer to the edge of the force field, and prepare myself for more. And I guess I will just also shout,
Gentlemen, this may be the source of its lifeblood. It may be a good idea to take that out as well. But if we do, we may not have to face the beast.
There's a blaring alarm that's been going on, and you haven't really been hearing it over the various mechanical sounds in the room. But as one of the pipes burst and one of the motors starts running dry, you can hear it going somewhere else in the facility. It's distant and tinny, but you can hear it coming just barely through the walls. And Themrir, I'll also note, just for you, that as you take that step closer to the force field, you feel a familiar tingle across your body. This force field is magical.
This was a field behind you?
Interesting.
It's around the whole room, Kirk.
Oh, okay.
It boxed in the box.
I see.
The Titan gets another turn. The Titan is going to take a swipe at... It's going to take a swipe at you, Kale. Kale, I need a speed roll from you. Speed defense 6. And you are muted
Now-
currently.
I'm there as well. Wondering, can I take it in his stead?
I will allow it,
Okay.
but it has to be before he rolls.
Yep.
Okay. Then you step in front of him, I presume,
Yep.
and push him out of the way in time for the blow to come for you instead. Let's have that speed roll against 6.
Do I get time for like a cool one-liner?
Absolutely.
Sweet. Okay, speed roll 6. Now, I do have, I am trained in speed defense, so does that reduce the difficulty?
It does by 1.
By 1? Okay, so it's a speed difficulty of 5. Okay. And I think that's it. Yeah, okay. Okay, so I think I'll use... So I think in this case, I would roll speed defense, which would automatically apply the discount.
Let's find out.
Okay, so it would be speed difficulty 6 without it, so I'm going to do 6. And that should automatically apply, and then I'm going to do 2 effort. So I'd bring it down to 3, I think. Yeah.
If it's with a discount of 1, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Did it do it? Difficulty 6, trained -1, effort -2. Okay,
did
so
do
it did calculate that, but
But sadly, you
Yay!
rolled poorly.
that's okay.
Oh,
Oh,
God.
jeez.
But you don't
Okay,
know yet
so-
if it's okay.
Okay, so as I do this, I look to Kale. And I'm like, Kale, you're still young. Kick the stupid machination's ass.
What?
Okay,
Kale is pushed behind you and stumbles just out of the reach of the sweep of its hands. As the ichor continues to flood into it, its arms have come more to life, the shoulders starting to roll forward and back, the arms flexing, and it moves with an unnatural speed for something so massive. The thing that hits you first is actually the wall of air being pushed around it, and that slams you back into place and pins you even as its hand follows up. It smashes you into the piping behind you. It rips into that piping. The surface of it is pitted and harsh. You can't see it from a distance, it looks smooth, but when you're actually pressed up to it, you can feel the thick harshness of it rasping and pulling at your skin. Mind you, that's not the only thing on your mind, because there's probably some of those broken ribs weighing on you as well. I need you to subtract 10 points from your might pool.
I do have 2 armor.
Okay, then subtract those first, and then 8 from your might pool.
8? Ooh, okay.
Christ on a crack.
Armor saved my life, man. Ow.
The Titan withdraws its hand back from the crater it's made with Zaniel's body against that side of the room. It has broken some of the piping in the process, though, and more of the thick black ichor starts dripping down and dripping into the room. Zaniel, I want a intellect roll from you, please.
Okay. Unknown difficulty?
Unknown difficulty.
Okay. Now, question for you. Would this be an intellect roll and me trying to figure something out?
Yeah, you're trying to put something together, something that you started thinking about at the beginning of the round, and now something more has started to clue you in.
Okay. So what I would like to do with that level up I had is I did have the inability plus the training. So I'm wondering if I can basically just, what I can do is take the training up to specialized, which would cancel, or I can just remove the inability.
Yep, you can just make the inability go away.
Yep. Okay. So then would I be able to use the training I have in this scenario?
Yep.
Okay.
And that decreases the difficulty by 1.
Okay, cool. Thank you. So then that's my XP. Look at that. Okay, so unknown difficulty, effort to roll. Shit, let's go for broke. Let's do 2. Man, can't roll crap at all tonight. Jeez.
Not you can't yet.
But that still contributes.
So technically, I reduce it by 3 steps, and then I beat a 2. However,
Yep, that makes good sense. All right, it definitely contributes. Zaniel, as the thick black ichor flows past you, and some of it ends up streaking your newly damaged body and heading down past you through the broken pipes, you feel something familiar. It's not exactly in the blood, but it's connected to it somehow. And even as you gasp and wheeze against the broken ribs, there's a sort of excited tingling at the edges of your fingertips. Something nearby is giving you a very familiar feeling. The Titan takes another turn.
please don't hit me this time. Kale, help me.
Let's see here.
Howie.
GM roll.
Mommy, my knee's busted.
He puts Kale in front of him this time.
I have a big bruise. Mommy,
Grabs you
please
from
help.
behind. And now,
Your turn now,
This-
Kara.
The skeleton takes his head off and bowls it down the hallway at Themrir.
Save me, Oni-chan.
I am a lot squishier than you.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
the other hand of the Titan starts sort of walking along the bars beside it, going over the piping towards Cyrus. It sort of slaps down at various intervals as though it can't quite see where it's trying to strike. You see that above the shoulders, the head still lolls loosely. No, so it smacks down as though it had almost reached Cyrus, even though it was far away, and then it tries again a little further, and then finally it comes down right where you're standing. Cyrus, I'd like you to roll speed difficulty 5 for me.
Okay. Let's see. If I wanted to, say, jump to a different pipe, either below me or potentially above me, I don't know exactly what the landscape looks like. Would jumping or climbing ease this at all?
Yes, it would.
Although the counterpoint to that is if I fail horribly, I will be falling, potentially.
You will be
I
falling,
assume,
and
yeah.
you're 100 feet up.
Yes. Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
I was trying to be a
He
good
made the
boy.
choice to jump.
I will mention also that there is space in between these various pipes that a human body could fit. That might be good or it might be bad.
Gotcha. If I were to use my identification and assessment skill to try and decide where the best space to hide into would be, would that ease this a little bit?
I would allow it.
All right. So I'll have one natural easing. I'll ease one with edge, so that should take it down to 3. And just for the record, I am not jumping or climbing at the moment.
When you say edge, you mean effort?
Yes, effort rather. Sorry.
Okay. All right, so you're not going to jump or climb right this moment. You're going to try and find somewhere to sort of
Squeeze
swing
in.
yourself into or squeeze into. All right. Difficulty is 5, like I said.
So natural easing, I'll set it down to 4, and then I'll effort to roll 1.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh.
Oh dear. What a day to be rolling badly.
I'll re-roll that.
All right.
Yeah, Thomas has rerolls. I don't. I've made my bed and I'm sitting in it, so.
There you go.
Unbelievable.
Oh no. Well, you get to keep the 5 as
You
the
do
better
get to keep
roll.
the better one.
It is what it is.
You can continue spending, but I don't know if you want to.
Ouch. I guess you have to ask yourself how important this one is.
No, I won't spend any more on this.
All right. The hand in its final effort manages to find you. It doesn't get a full-on blow because, again, it doesn't seem to be quite sure of where you are, but you do get pinioned by one massive middle finger. And you can feel something give way in your hips as it sort of flicks you and partially pushes you up against the metal and glass and plastics that are behind you and that make up the rough surface of its body. I'm going to have you subtract 8 might from your pool.
And then I can take armor off that.
You do.
Well, perfect. Well, not perfect, but a little better. Okay.
Kale.
Okay. Zaniel just risked his life.
So you could do some fucking up
Basically.
to the other people.
So I'd like to, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Am I allowed to do 2 spell setup things
When you
before I
say
use
2
the
spell set up things,
Yeah,
it depends on
'cause I
whether they
have-
require you to use them as an action or if they're enablers.
Right. Okay.
If they require actions, then you only have the 1 to spend.
Okay. Using Jack's Book of Tricks is not an action, right?
It is not.
Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and start there. How do I send it to the chat?
No, what you want to do is click the little lightning bolt symbol beside it.
Oh, I see.
Okay, so you roll depletion. So that means that whatever it is you want to do is going to cost you twice as much.
Okay, that's fine.
Almost like
Also,
Chris rigged this whole fight, guys.
also
crap.
the word dragon is in your mind now, and sometimes you'll just try to be thinking of something completely different, and either skull or dragon will be what comes to mind instead.
This fight sure is dragging on.
Oh.
Ooh.
What was that, Kale? I couldn't hear you from up here.
Nothing. It's skull. It's the book. It's the book. And I perform a shatter.
All right. So that's 4 costs against your intellect pool this time, but don't forget about your edge discount on that.
Yes, sir.
And what is it that you're going to try and detonate? Remember, it must be small, must be mundane, and must be composed of just one kind of material.
Is there a single point on the Bone Titan that is just like its own area?
Unfortunately, the Titan itself seems to be made of a whole bunch of different composites, as you might expect from something that needs to support that kind of weight. It can't do it with just one kind of material. But in the room around it, there are things that look like they might be simpler. For instance, the tubing that runs into it appears to be just some sort of polycarbonate. The floor beneath you appears to simply be some kind of metal, maybe steel plating.
Okay.
That kind of thing.
So the floor then, Kale sort of, after reading the book and having his mind just a little bit altered, sends out a flash of dark right at the floor beneath where the Bone Titan stands.
All right. An area that's significantly smaller than its foot shatters beneath it, but you can hear the detonation muffled even as it is by the great weight on top of it. And you see pieces work their way into the plastic metal sheathing around its foot. You can see the shattered pieces of metal sort of suddenly jut up through it, through the semi-translucent skin. It starts springing tiny little leaks as the black ichor starts to flow from inside of the Titan and the severed lines that the steel has gone into and through.
Is this a double whammy? Is the ichor that's flooding the floor also starting to drain through the hole that he just made?
The hole in the floor right now is completely sealed by the Titan's foot since it's on top of it. And that great weight pressing down on it is actually deforming the metal slightly. But presumably, if and when it raises that particular foot, we'll see what happens to the ichor. Speaking of which, no, we're not at the end of the round yet.
Before that, Kale sort of looks at Cyrus and he's like, "You good? I did it.
Good. Great job. Great job, kid.
I did it."
So, Skull.
Just as a side note, I don't know how important it is, but the turn order is only showing the Titan's turns right now, just because we're on the Titan pitcher.
Interesting. For me, it shows them all.
Oh, okay. Well, as long as you're keeping track of it, I'm cool.
I guess I will call it out for you guys, as I have been doing.
You're the only one who needs to see it. Right?
Yeah.
I will continue to call it out for you guys. For me, I can see them all.
No, that's fine. I was just making sure everything's good. So.
It's too bad because you won't see the round counter.
No, we can see the round counter.
Yeah, you can see the round counter.
It's
okay.
all Titan. It's the
all Titan plus round.
Yeah.
Huh.
But none of us.
Yeah, I think it's because we rolled on a different screen and then it.
Yeah, interesting. But it didn't carry over for you like it did for me.
For some reason, yeah.
Good job, Roll20. Consistency is great. Cyrus.
Okay. The first thing I'm going to do is use...
Don't do that, it's too strong.
My quick recovery ability to use my 10-minute recovery as a one-action recovery.
All right. 5 points, not bad. Not great, but not bad.
And then I will use Surging Confidence, which just allows me to basically do that for free.
Immediately gain another action. Makes sense. If you need to pay that cost, go ahead and do so, and then tell me what your other action is.
May I make some sort of perception roll to see if there is a control module somewhere on this thing? If there is something that is essentially its brain? Or
Okay.
perhaps if there are like clearly ligaments or cables or something that is like feeding information to the limbs, something like that?
How is it being controlled?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, let's have an intellect roll, difficulty 5.
Okay. May I use identification and assessment for this?
Yes, you may.
An intellect roll, difficulty 5. I'll set it to 4 because I have 1 natural easing from that skill. And then for effort, I will put in 2 effort. Okay, I succeed, thankfully.
That's a much better roll. All right. So here's what you managed to figure out. Now, in the midst of taking a really deep breath after getting just a little squished, you can't see any obvious cabling that looks like data to you. You haven't been in this world very long, but you've got kind of an idea of what the technology would look like to try and run, some sort of electrical signals into this thing. All you can see is this black ichor-based tubing, right? It's just absolutely flooding the thing. You do see lights from inside, and you do see the sorts of technology, for moving heavy things, hydraulic pistons and the like, that you might expect, but you also see things that you have no context for. These thick ceramic plates that seem to suddenly change shape and size as electrical currents run through them, through the piping. It doesn't look like there's anything directly attached to it that's commanding it, but you do get the sense, based on the way that it's been moving, that the head really does have some sort of sensory equipment in it, is some way guiding or failing to guide the various efforts it's making. For instance, when it tried to struggle to hit you, and it couldn't lock its eyes on you because its head was lolling in the other direction. So it seems like if you were trying to find where its brain was, you might look in the obvious spot.
Gotcha. Okay.
Femur?
Couple quick questions. First quick question was that was my action for the turn, I assume. Yes. Yes. My second question is, can I yell something to the team?
Yes, you may.
Perfect. Let me just quickly think of exactly what I want to yell. Pretty sure the brain's actually where the brain would be. Also, aim for the tubes going to each limb. And then I'll see if I can't... I have a thing that lets me move when I do something else, I think.
Yeah, it's fleet of foot.
Right, I can move a short distance as part of another action.
Yeah.
So using my short distance as part of another action, my perception roll, I would like to actually tuck myself into... I would like to take cover, essentially. Find a little nook and try to hide in it.
All right, I'm going to ask you for an intellect or speed roll, whichever you prefer. For intellect, the difficulty will be 3. For speed, the difficulty will be 4.
Okay. I fail.
You start to swing down. You see a spot that seems like it would accommodate your body just fine. But when you actually reach it, you realize that the shadows and lights in this room had misguided you. You managed to squeeze part of your body in, but part of your body is still terribly exposed. Chances are good that you might be wiggle a little further in here, but you can't do it right now.
Gotcha. All right, and then I'll pass turn.
Task.
Okay, so I am still underneath his foot, yes?
You are. You have one foot suspended above your head. And that's why what the other foot right now is sort of sealing the one area of the ground where Kale blew it open, because all of its weight is on that one foot. And you are pushing it up.
Okay. What is right behind the skeleton?
There's a massive gantry. It's a really good question, actually. There's a massive gantry with a lot of tubing that runs back into the skeleton. And there are reflective panels at various spots along it. Maybe observation areas, maybe something where somebody, when this thing was being built, was able to take a look at various parts inside of it to help assemble it. You can see that there are places where machinery was probably attached at one point to enable the assembly of this thing, various mechanical arms or printing heads. But right now they're just bare anchor points with nothing on them.
Right. Okay. Well, it seems really clever in Task's 3-year-old brain. So considering that he's already halfway there, Task would like to continue to push.
Yes.
Up. So.
All right. Task, I need a might roll from you. The difficulty is 8.
Okay.
That's a big number. Don't ease it at all. You can hit that.
Yeah, I can hit that.
24.
No problem. Just checking to see if I have anything.
It's like you're trying to move something that's really big. I don't know why, though.
I have breaking inanimate objects as a skill, but this is not really the same.
I mean,
I don't know.
You are trying to do it damage, so it's not a living thing. I will allow it.
I know what to say. You should ask
I will
Chris.
allow it.
I was gonna say I know it's not my turn. May I put something forward for this, Chris, or would you rather
Yes.
I keep my mouth shut?
Go for it.
Its other foot is in halfway into a hole.
Make another hole?
So maybe it's like off balance because of that. I'm just saying there might be. That's all.
Well, that's why I'm trying to push up so it falls. Okay, so
Use your body weight against it.
sorry. So just to make sure I'm doing this right, because you're allowing me to do that, I actually go to the skill and click the die roll there. And
Yeah,
Up to you. Yeah, but that's a simple way of doing it. Yeah.
And then I can either just put in the difficulty you said at 8, and the skill should subtract
Yes.
the levels. Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
that's how I did it when I used my skill thing. You just put in the difficulty and then it subtracted automatically. And then if you put in any effort, it should also calculate that for you.
Right.
Nice.
No problem.
Let's fucking go.
Did somebody die while I was away? Because this seems like a super task.
Thank God one of us is rolling well, and thank God it's him.
That's right.
Yeah, for real.
Well,
Task.
guys, he is more realistic than us.
Yeah. Right, well,
Task.
I go pushing.
This is a task for which you are particularly well suited. There is an immense amount of mass behind this creature. It has a lot of force that it can exercise to try and crush anything in its way. And you are bearing the greatest part of it. Right? This isn't just a hand trying to smack you into a wall, as painful and damaging as that could be. This is all of its mass trying to be concentrated into one spot. And you go from a slight crouch to full standing and push your arms up overhead. And it slowly but surely goes off balance.
Yeah.
The thing grabs at the walls around it, ripping the last of the tubes that were still properly running into it from the wall as it does so. Its foot collapses deeper into the damaged floor panel beneath it. And you see a sparking, hissing rise up from beneath it as it hits something, the force field, underneath of the floorboards.
Nice.
The bottom of it instantly ionizes, and you can smell the terrible stench of ammonia in the air. It doesn't cry out in pain. It obviously is incapable of that sort of thing, but there's a flailing and a fury to its motions as it stumbles out and away from the hole, back onto its heel, and slams back up against the wall behind it. And the head that was just starting to sort of straighten itself up on its column sort of lolls forward again as the last of the tubes that were trying to lead into it are crushed and fall away from the skeleton. The thing slides up against the wall, but it catches itself. Its head is still loose, but the arms work and pull and grip into the metal and the tubing. And it moves its foot off of the body that refuses to yield and finds another place to put it. And it lifts its smoking foot from the damaged floorboards. You can see that it's lost a large part of that foot. It settles it down with just the heel and a large number of tubes and inner machinery splaying out in front of it. And the ichor starts to drain from it, continuing to flood in the room. It steadies itself. It's still standing, and it's still massive. The flood in the room starts to get pretty bad. There's a lot of ichor dripping from all these various tubes that were obviously still meant to be feeding into the body. And the thing itself now seems to have sprung a significant leak.
And can we tell if the hole that opened up where the force field burned its foot is actually helping to drain it at all, or if it's basically sitting on top of the force field?
There's a sparking and a hissing from that as the liquid comes in contact with it, and you can see that and smell the impact of that. And some of the ichor does seem to be draining in that direction, but when it hits the field, it seems almost like it bakes with the intensity of the field that is contacted, and you can see it form sort of a plug. Honestly, it looks a lot like a thick and terrible scab on the surface of the metal. Yeah. And soon the awful flow is more or less stemmed. It continues to leak and drip through there, but not in great amounts.
Caught her
By now, if you're standing right on the floor, it's about waist high.
Okay, so like it's still draining, but at a very low rate. Okay.
The voice is heard again.
This can't be. I can't believe you managed to damage my assembly. I guess I shouldn't have expected any less from the agents of Black Talon. Maybe you're not so useless after all. You will make a good test of my Titan. It doesn't need to see you to crush you.
I don't even know a Black Talon.
There's a pause, and then some of the panels in the room that were behind the Titan light up. You see a gross figure on the monitor. It's hideously fat. Folds on folds. There's something off about its eyes as well. And you can see it sitting in some sort of massive seat that's fitted just barely to its expanse. There's something that's fitted across its forehead as well. Some sort of metal band.
Yeah.
and it glares at you from the monitors behind thick smoked glasses.
Don't try to play with me. I know that you've been sent by Black Talon. Although, maybe... Of course, now I see it. It worked, didn't it? There is no more. So who did send you then?
We sent us. Okay, first of all, this is so clearly not a game at this point. I'm not playing. Nobody sent us. We sent ourselves. Some shit was going down. We had to come to the hospital and try and figure out what the fuck was happening.
The creature leans in towards the monitor.
You trying to tell me you're just some poor fools who stumbled all the way down here?
Are we
Indubitably.
sort of
Yes.
combat at this point?
You can talk. Yeah, I'll let you-
Pause? Okay.
and anybody can talk if they want to.
Yes, that is what I'm trying to tell you, pretty much word for word.
Oh. You have terrible luck, then. I can't let you leave this room alive. Not now that you know what I'm working on.
You could let us leave this room alive.
Why should we care about what you're working on?
Please. You've seen my genius. I have so many different devices. I'm building an army. This world is in the palm of my hand.
Well, based on what I just witnessed from up here, your machinations hurt, but unfortunately something about 10 times less the size of this giant skeleton just kind of knocked his ass on his grass.
The face, if it's possible, goes a deeper shade of purplish red and looks almost like it's pouting, which is a disgusting expression on those thick lips.
Now, if you want to keep this for whatever this foe is, I suggest you don't test it on us because it might just come back broken.
Fools. My titan will destroy you, and then I'll repair it in a moment. Well, in a day or 2 or 3. In any case, it will be your destruction.
Wait,
No talking.
why do you think Black Talon is after you?
Why do I think Black Talon is after me? You poor naive children.
I know the answer to that one.
There's a sparking from the back of the room as the doors slam through and into the force field and vaporize. There's a figure back the way you came. You can see the force field in the vapor that's left from the metal having collapsed into it. Sort of looks like fireflies going off in every direction until it fades back into the blackness. And you can see beyond it a figure that is detaching itself from the shadows beyond. You can see the lights on the visored face. It looks at the force field surrounding the room as though it were measuring up an enemy, raising its chin a little bit as it gauges whether or not it's something that it needs to worry about. You see it press one hand into the force field, and the armor on its hand vaporizes instantly. But the hand just sort of glows a little. And the figure draws it back, looks again at the force field thoughtfully, and then walks through. The armor peels back bit by bit, disappearing, dissipating, destroyed for a moment. and the figure glows bright, almost like it's been set into the forge. Gold going from dark yellow to sudden white. There's a hesitation as he moves through it, almost like he is trying to push himself through a thick wall of jello. And then he's on the other side, his armor peeled back. He's an older man, but distinctly muscled, heavily built, scarred all over. His white hair is tied into a top knot at the back. And as you watch, you see him bite down on something, and spreading out from his head, the black fluid starts to encapsulate and spread down and out. And in mere moments, the black armor is back, and he stretches and flexes inside of it.
That was pathetic. I've seen better false fields around the cupboard. I hope you didn't spend too much magic on that.
That's not possible. Nothing can break through that.
Another trick you stole from Irving. You didn't learn any of your lessons very well. And who the hell are these people?
Fine, I'll say it again. We're just some idiots who stumbled in here.
Upon the appearance of the man dressed in black armor, for anyone who would be possibly looking at Task is now visibly trembling, because he knows exactly who this is.
Clearly, we're just bystanders here. Who are you?
Well, you're just a bunch of unlucky folks, aren't you?
Clearly.
Who am I, Morel? Why don't you tell them?
You're irrelevant. You're the rump of a destroyed dynasty. I guess you're here for your revenge, then?
Revenge? Just what do you think happened?
Wasn't it obvious? It worked. My assassins. They broke through. You didn't see them coming.
Oh my god. You think you're clever. This is really embarrassing. Yeah, your spies and your saboteurs, they made it through. You were right that most of our biometrics are facial. And we didn't see it coming. But you forgot something really important.
What?
Black Talon can't die, you idiots. When your assassins got to him, yeah, they chopped him up and they shot him with laser beams. And then he was fine 3 seconds later. And then we killed them all. Well, destroyed them. I don't know if you can kill a robot.
So he's not dead?
No, he's not. But you will be.
You say you're some kind of genius. You thought he was coming after you. Why did you think he was dead if he was coming after you?
Well, I hoped it worked. We don't need to have this conversation. You just need to die.
And he looks really uncertain. And then, as though he were about to sort of scream or collapse into a puddle. And then he suddenly grips the arms of his chair, straightens up.
Anyways, none of this matters. I have what I need. A focus like no other. My magical power will be absolute, and the Titan will crush you.
And Morel brings into view something from beneath the area the camera views, and you see that it's some sort of little electronical or maybe semi-mechanical box of some kind, and you see him manipulate a few things. And then back on the Titan's head, the one that's still lolling loosely, you see something begin to shine and outline a shape way up high. Looks a little bit like, where did I put it? Looks a little bit like this. And amidst the bony structure and all the wires running to it, something that has a lightning bolt that stretches across its surface suddenly begins to shine. And the black reddish liquid that's inside of the Titan starts to glow. And Zaniel, before we head back into round 2, I'm going to have an intellect roll from you.
Yay.
Difficulty 0 again.
Difficulty 0. Can I use the... I guess I'm going to call my puzzle skill?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Figure out what the hell's going on here, skill.
Now, I'm trained in all 3 defenses. Now, I'm trying to figure out how... like when they would apply. Is it just like in attack scenarios, or is it like if something is purposely working against me, can I also use that? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
I think you could use it in situations where it was an act of intelligence trying to thwart you from solving a puzzle or resolving a question.
Okay, cool. So not in this situation right now?
In this particular situation, yeah. You're still trying to solve a puzzle and put things together.
Okay, so I can use both of them then?
Yeah, I'll allow it.
Sweet. Okay, so unknown difficulty. I'll temporarily put this one to specialized to account for both of them. I'll make sure to change it back after. And then, yeah, let's do another 2 effort. Come on, dice. Don't screw me over. It's better than a 6.
Better than a 6. Zaniel, it's taken you a little while to try and really figure out what it is you've been feeling. But you think you've got it. There's magic in this room, but it's not in the blood. And although the force field is made of magical energies, that's not its source. The medallion is the source.
Gotcha.
And now that it's been revealed, you can see it like a beacon light. It's like a sun has risen in this room. It's almost painful to look at, to be near, with the sheer power of the magic beating from it. You can only feel it for a moment. Your senses are almost numb to that sort of energy. But your mind clicks on an old familiar feeling, and you realize that thing is the most potent source of magical energy that you have ever seen. And you have seen gods.
Gotcha. Nice.
GM, when the medallion conceptualizes, does Task have a chance to just shout something quickly?
Absolutely, you do.
Okay. So Task is out of his trembling long enough to sort of flick back and just point up at it. That's what I'm after. That's all he says.
Embedded the medallion in something like that. This is just disappointing on so many levels. Why don't you idiots just stay out of my way?
And the creature on the screen manipulates something, and the Titan snaps up right and starts moving forward fluidly, even though its head continues to loll loosely about.
Kill him. Kill the Reaper.
And Zaniel, it's your turn.
Oh shit, so that is Reaper. Damn.
Yeah, man.
Interesting. So I guess he's aged since we last saw him. Fascinating. Anyways, that was Kirk's Inner Thoughts, brought to you by
Time works
Wrong Side of the
differently
Wall.
on different planes and different levels.
Oh, it's so good. So yeah, seeing that medallion, that's all my focus now. I don't care what anybody else was after. I'm like, I need that. So what I'm going to do, I was originally going to try and recover, but no, that's no longer in the books here. So let me see.
This is really isn't relevant to my turn, GM. But now having seen the guy on the screen, is there anything in Task's archive about him?
Yes, I will divulge certain details to you when we get back to your turn.
Yeah.
Just remember to ask me that question again.
Okay, sure thing.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to trigger that again. So I am burning through my HP, guys. Oof. And then I'm also going to trigger that as another enabler.
All right.
So I'm going to basically get right up by this medallion. Now that I'm closer, before I actually commit the action, is there anything I notice with being like a couple inches in front of this thing now?
I would like an intellect roll from you, difficulty 5.
5.
And this is puzzle solving in terms of like understanding a thing.
Okay. Difficulty 5. Okay, so that would drop it down to 4, and I'm going to put 1 effort, drop it down to 3.
All right. You succeed.
I'm trying to look at where I rolled, and I'm like, shit, what did I roll? What did I roll? And
It's in there somewhere.
I was like, 5. Damn it, I rolled a 5. No. Yeah, okay.
No, you're good.
Cool.
This medallion is a potent force, and you feel a thrill of trepidation in reaching for it. Being this close to it, it really is kind of like being close to the sun. You almost get a palpable sense of heat, just in the amount of energy that's coming off of it as waste. Right? It's being used inefficiently. It's being used poorly. The person who is manipulating it right now is not using it wisely or well. Animating this thing, it's nothing for this medallion. It's such a tragically poor use of it that it almost makes you sad, because you know something of how magic ought to go. You were a master in your own time, and you're hungry for this thing, even though that thrill across your senses tells you touching it might be dangerous. But you want it at the same time. And because you succeeded as well as you did, I will say there is a part of you that wonders if you want it, or if it wants you to want it.
When I get up close, I stop for a second. This is it. What I've been looking for the past decades, it feels like. Task, I'm sorry. I hope you don't mind that I use part of this for my own good. And I want to trigger foil danger, if it would come into play. Basically, knowing how dangerous this thing is and kind of being prepared for like any backlash. I want to basically sort of negate that.
So that action isn't made this round. Interesting.
So I basically want to do this and reach out for it in a way that, like, I can manipulate around its defenses so it doesn't basically kill me.
Okay. So notice at the bottom, make your roll against the level of the attack, danger, or creature.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to require of you an intellect roll against difficulty 10.
Holy fuck. Okay. Can I apply both my defense and my skill here?
Yep.
Okay. Qualities 10, so that brings it to 8. Crap. Okay, so if I apply 3 edge, it's 3, 2, 2, right? So that'd be 7.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that would bring it down to 5.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this could be doable. Okay. I'm busting out all the stops for this.
All right.
This will bring me down to 1 intellect pool, guys. Let's see if this works. Okay. Difficulty you said was 10.
Mm-hmm.
Impossible. Yeah, that makes sense. Effort to roll was 3. I'm just making sure I would actually. So it's 3 to 2 for effort. I have 2 in edge, so that'd bring it down to cost of 5, I think.
It would be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It'd be 7, so 5. Yep.
Okay, dice. Don't screw me over now, please.
Neat.
Oh man. Yikes.
The medallion burns your fingertips, but only for a moment. As the two of you connect. For a moment, Morel, on the other end of his connection, is involved in sort of a three-way conversation. You can hear him manipulating whatever it is he has in his hands furiously as he tries to hold on to control. But the device in his hand breaks and sparks. It's not on any screen. You can just feel it happening. You can see that his hands come away from the device blackened and burnt as it rejects him. And then that conversation is over and you hear it conversing with you as well. There's a susurrus of like waves. A quiet hum, like somebody having a gentle conversation in another room. Oh, Zaniel, I wasn't expecting you. How are you doing today?
Where am I?
Well, that's an interesting question. There's a lot of places that you are at any one time, mentally, emotionally, physically. I think you mean, how did you end up having this conversation with me? It's a little difficult to explain it, but you're actually in a better position to understand than some. The medallion isn't a medallion at all, of course. It's a focus, a lens. You put things through it on one side and they get concentrated down on the other to a point. And the point where they meet, all the various energies that can be pointed through it is here with me. And now with you too. Zaniel, I think you've been hungry and tired and frustrated for long enough. I give you your magic back. Why don't you blow this Titan up and then we'll talk more?
I've just always wanted to be able to help people again like I used to, you know?
You have a noble soul, Zaniel. And a soul like that shouldn't be denied. Just because of random chance, some bad roll of the dice. Just because bad things happen to good people. Let's rebel against that, you and I, together. Zaniel, I give you more than your power back. Do what you think is right. For once. Do anything you want to. And suddenly the conversation is not over, but it's gone into the background, and you can see the Titan around you and all the various people below. You can see the ichor starting to rise. It's up to poor Task's chest level now. You can see where people have gotten crushed up against the various places around here. You can see the Reaper looking up at you. You can't read his expression behind the helmet, but his body language speaks of both anger and maybe a little bit of trepidation as well, a little uncertainty. And you realize that they're all looking at your hand, where the medallion has fallen loose from the skull and sunken just a little bit into the flesh. Zaniel, your turn isn't over, even though you've already taken an action. Tell me what you want to do.
You know, as I address everybody, I think I understand a little bit more why this is so desired. And why you, newcomer, or the person manipulating the skull can't have it.
You're a fool. You need to put that down right now.
No. You need to be gone from this place.
You don't know what you're doing.
No, I think I do. Task, Cyrus, Kale, Themrir, we're leaving. And basically, I want to, with everybody in the room, I want to set up like a little tiny portal. In that my friends and I get out of here and go to the same place. The skeleton basically just gets disintegrated, and the people that just came are sent away from here as far as they can be. Whether that's another plane of existence or what, I don't know the extent of what I can do, but as far away as I can send them.
As far away as you can send them. All right.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
This is how this plays out. The Titan is dust. It's a huge pile of dust. It scatters across the room as though in a violent wind. It hits the back wall where somebody was watching. And you hear a high-pitched and quickly cut-off scream from behind those walls as they're scoured clean with a sudden blow from all of that dust. The whole back wall just is gone with the dust that goes through it. It's like getting blasted by a meteorite or a billion tiny meteorites. Behind that, you can see a black void and a bunch of tubes and wiring all sparking. Reaper has just enough time to start trying to run towards you before he simply is gone. Somewhere very far away. And all your friends and you suddenly have a context shift. You are somewhere very different. Somewhere perfectly safe. There's a quiet here. And it's a quiet unlike any of you have ever heard because it's complete. The sounds of your breathing, your heart's beating, the movements that you're making seems like a unique intrusion. A sense of sound where there was never sound before. Not in all of time. But you don't feel like invaders. You feel welcome. It's calm. It's quiet. It's cool. There was a heat deep beneath that facility near all these moving motors and engines. But here, your breath, when you breathe out, crystallizes a little in the air before dissipating. It's not uncomfortable. It's more like the cool of a crisp fall morning. You, Zaniel in particular, feel incredible, not tired at all. That was one of the biggest workings of magic that you've ever done. It's not something that you could have imagined doing before. Turn something that large into dust, move this many people who knows where exactly, but you can feel that it's very far. This wasn't a jump just between physical locations. You've taken a step into somewhere that you weren't entirely sure existed. But the power inside of you knew where it was and knew how to get you there. And you feel great. You feel like you could do it again. In fact, you could probably do it forever. The black oracle box vibrates in your pocket task. And when you pull it free, it swivels its major eye around and looks up at you and then up across at where Zaniel stands.
Crying out loud.
The black oracle box sort of shimmies with its vibration on your hand towards where Zaniel is standing, as though it were eager to move towards him.
Oh, I nod an understanding towards the box and walk over to Zaniel.
The quiet voice inside of your mind, inside of your heart now, Zaniel, speaks again. How was that? Not too shabby, eh?
No, not at all.
Zaniel, you have greatness inside of you, and you always have. But it's been a struggle getting it out, trying to accomplish what you need to accomplish with so much opposed to you. I know about all those peace talks that went the wrong way, when they should have been. They should have been willing. Why is everyone always choosing so poorly? And those times when you fought, when you didn't want to fight, when they were determined before you even arrived that they were going to kill each other. All your efforts, so much effort spent in vain. It shouldn't have been that way. It didn't need to be that way. And then when you fought for your universe to save everyone, what was your reward? Exile. And to be stripped of your powers. To slowly bleed them away. Not even the kindness of losing them all at once, but to slowly but surely bleed into the environment. To lose the very things that made you you. That's the way this universe, all universes work. But it's not how they should. I'm going to ask you a favor, Zaniel.
Anything.
I'd like you to add task to our communication, to our conversation together. He has something that he's hoping to accomplish, to bring his friends back.
Of course.
To end endless traveling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I understand what it's like to want your companions back. And then I reach out my hand towards Task. Task, somebody who wants to talk to you.
Task, aware of his own strength, like gives you like the back of his hand and like sort of goes along yours rather than trying to grab it.
Task. There's a burning sensation. It feels like all of your nerves suddenly were set on fire and then doused in ice water. You've never felt quite like that before. Even the depths of pain that you experienced when you were moved from dimension to dimension by Dr. Snyder's trap was like a paper cut by comparison. But it's over in a moment. And as you pull your hand away, sudden spasm of pain, you see that the lightning bolt symbol has embedded itself into the back of your hand, burnt into your unbreakable, unmarkable flesh. And you can feel a sensation of company. And you hear the voice. You recognize it. Zaniel couldn't have. He didn't hear it before. But you recognize the voice of the pilgrim. Task. You've done it. I bet it was a little uncertain there for a bit, but I had every confidence in you. You defeated the unworthy one who was seeking immortality, trying to manipulate this thing for his own gain. And you've made connection with me again.
I thought I recognized this place.
It is, and is not, like the place that we met before. It is connected to Umbra, but it is a real physical location. A place that I prepared with the hopes that we would all meet here together again. Are you ready, Task?
I am ready for anything.
I thought that might be your answer. But this is a momentous occasion. You're going to bring your friends back. In fact, you'll bring everyone who has been stuck traveling all this time back to safety.
If I am able, I will do it.
What's the cost of this, though?
Cost? No cost to you. Some cost to me. But it's one that I'm more than willing to pay. For the sake of everyone. All it requires from you is the decision to do it.
Forgive me, Pilgrim. I should not be skeptical of your kindness, but you'll understand. My father does not trust any living thing. May I ask your motive here? Why are you so willing to help us?
Which father do you refer to, Task? Is it Kale? Or the one who made you, Schneider?
Task's eye squints. I'm not sure that I know the answer to that question.
Neither one of them are very trusting. The student like the master, the apple fallen not far from the tree. Task, let me put it this way to you, the only way that I can. I've never lied to you, and I never will.
I believe you to mean what you say.
Then, if you are willing, Zaniel, Task, I will need you to work together. Go to each side of this room, each side of this circle, and simply declare your willingness to bring your friends back out of the abyss to which they've sent, to bring all exiles back home.
You mean others like me?
All those who have been exiled from their homes.
Task. We can't leave him out there, you know that?
I understand.
I traveled so long by myself, I forgot who I was. Who knows how much time has passed for them?
If you ask me to help you, Zaniel, I will comply.
I'm not asking you to help, I'm asking you to make your own choice.
And it must be your choice, Task. You've lived so much of your life doing what people have told you to do. But this choice, indeed all choices, must be yours.
I was built to comply, Pilgrim.
You were programmed to obey. But we don't have to be what the universe wants us to be. The spirit of rebellion is inside of you, Task. Make your choice.
Is there somebody you want to see again, Task?
Yes, there is.
Who is it?
Though there were many who helped me grow, I only truly had one friend. He was actually very similar to you, Zaniel. Physiologically, your personality is a little bit different. But he was a friend of mine named Dune.
Don't you want to see Dune again?
I do.
Do I need to ask you to bring Dune back for you to make the decision to want to bring Dune back?
You do not.
Don't you want to have that same emotion for others too? People that have lost others and are able to see them again.
Yes. Though my empathy centers are not fully developed, I do understand longing and missing those you care for.
Then what choice do you want to make?
And without saying anything more, Task moves to the side of the room.
All right. So all of this was happening more or less inside their heads.
Yay!
So each of you basically saw Task run to the back of his hand next to Zaniel, after suddenly appearing in this room. And then the next moment you see the two of them heading to opposite sides of the circle. But I will give each of you an opportunity right now if you had something you wanted to do.
Are you referring to the others?
Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, Zaniel and Task have had their opportunity.
Nah, no, we get to take another 5 turns. Power
Well,
of
that
law.
too.
Cyrus is good for now. He's just waiting to see what's going to happen.
What do you think they're talking about?
What do you mean? What do you think? They're not talking. They're just kind of staring off into space like weirdos.
They're doing telepathy, I can tell, man.
Well, I can't. So, as far as I'm concerned, they're just being weird.
I believe they're communicating with something that we cannot see.
Oh, so I'm the only one who can't see it then. Cool.
I know stuff now, man.
Yeah, you're a real smart guy, Kale. Smartest guy I ever knew, except for maybe Snargle. But can you blame me for saying that? I mean, think about him.
Gentlemen, that may have been in jest, but I must say, Mr. Arkham, you survived quite an ordeal.
I wasn't joking. He's legitimately smart. He's just not very sharp.
I've known some like that before.
Dull as a spoon, but I know some stuff.
You're a deeper spoon than you think.
And he pats him on the shoulder.
Nice.
I love being a deep spoon.
That needs,
Kale
that
just
needs
like
to go on a
looks
shirt.
frustrated at that. He's just like,
As you're having this conversation, Zaniel and Task part ways and head to each edge of the circle. Zaniel, Task, the edges of the circle seem to have a perfect place for you to place your hand into. Zaniel, for you, it's obvious which. The medallion still seems sort of almost part of your flesh. For you, Task, as well, the emblazoned lightning bolt makes it clear. And as you both reach down towards the circle, you can see that it's almost like the circle ripples like water underneath of your hands and takes on the shape of your hands as you press them down.
Before we press them down, do we have an opportunity to say something?
Yes.
Okay. Task, did you want to start or no?
I was going to say, I think Task has made up his mind, so he presses his hand down unless someone actively tries to stop him.
Themrir, I don't know what's going to happen. And I'm sorry I wasn't more receptive to you earlier. It's been a long time. But this past week, I thank you for being here.
I had informed you before. Death is simply just another part of life. The loss, it's never truly gone. If I've learned anything, it never goes away. And my friend, you've proved it multiple times tonight.
Cyrus, Kale, thank you for both being here. We're going to be doing something. Don't know what's going to happen. And then with that, I place my hand down.
that's basically how I operate all the time.
There's a sound like a power grid snapping on. Sudden sharp sludge. And you feel a connection between you, Zaniel, between you, Task, and the circle. And as you put your mind to the idea of bringing all exiles home, you get a sense of figures moving in the dark. There's a big hairy wolf guy who has been traveling a long distance for a long time. And you can see him land softly, carefully back into an area that Task recognizes as somewhere in Brampton. Soon he's joined by another, a figure with guns in his hands and hanging off of him, with a sharp look and a wind-blown hairdo. He spins around suddenly when he lands, looking for something, but relaxes a bit. No robots here, no explosions, just the grass of Chinkakuzi Park. A giant rock guy drops in behind them, startles them for a moment, lands heavily, gets to his feet, sort of feels at various crags, as though he were expecting to be maybe in multiple pieces, maybe a little exploded. He's fine. Finally, an elf drops in its true form, completely naked, but unharmed. You see him sort of clutch himself, not in any sense of modesty, but as though he were deathly cold or deathly afraid. And then he starts running his hands over himself as though he were trying to brush something off before he sort of looks around him and takes in A warm spring day. Grass beneath his feet, sun up above him, the world around him. Some people are starting to give this group some strange looks, but somebody flies by overhead, and a few streets away you can see somebody helping to assemble something with telekinesis. So, I mean, it's not as though this world were a complete stranger to strangeness. It looks, Task, an awful lot like home. And you see another figure. Somehow you know that this one has been traveling for the longest of all of the others. That this one has been here in this in-between space for a long time. A measure of time that's as close to infinity as you could possibly imagine and then beyond. But infinity means it never ends. And finally an ending has come to this long travel, this long self-imposed exile.
Uh-oh.
A figure coalesces. It's in the room with all of you, in the very center of the circle. And it is crouched down on one knee, its hands folded on top of the other knee, its head down, as though waiting to accept a blessing or a blow. He's a man, well-muscled, broad shoulders, maybe vaguely Eastern European. You see that he's wearing simple clothing. He has a long cape that looks frayed and worn, but it's a deep purple and crimson on the inside. There's a symbol embroidered on one shoulder of a golden skull with jeweled eyes, and on the other side, a lightning bolt. And he stands so slowly, as though this was the first time he were doing it in a long time. His joints don't pop, though. There's no strain to it. It's more like a jungle cat stretching. All lithe strength, smooth motion. And he looks up as he stands. And then back down. He has a normal face. He looks like a man. A young man, in truth. Maybe in his late 20s. He turns around to face you. Thank you. Task, Zaniel, Cyrus, Kale, Themrir. Thank you, all of you. My long journey, my long exile, ended at last. I'm grateful. I hope you won't feel disappointed with the consequences of your choice. But I hope you'll believe me when I say it was the right one. Not the one the universe wanted you to make, but the right one all the same. Most people call me the Pilgrim. In the churches that worship me, at least. My enemies have a different name for me. And this might be a more commonly known one. But my friends call me Solo. And I'd appreciate if you did too. We're going to take our break here.
There's more?
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah,
There's more.
it's
This is the second
9:45.
last. This is the second last season or session. Of course, there's more.
I'm like, good ending, good ending.
I'm
yes,
watching the clock and I'm
beautiful.
like, what is Chris going to pull next?
What? What?
I'll see you guys at 9:55.
Cool.
Ah!
Oh,
Did you say his name was Sol? Shadow.
Welcome back. It's a pleasure to be here with you again, and I hope you're enjoying yourself too.
Let's go.
You've got just a little bit more left. It seems like things are changing. Let's see where we go from here. The last thing that happened was our runaway 5, or at least 4 of them, have managed to make it back to Terra Mater. We've got one wolf guy, one rock guy, one gun guy, and one misplaced elf, all back home. But Task, along with Zaniel, Cyrus, Kale, and Themrir, are all in this room, in this place, wherever that is, with this person who also came home after a long time in exile. Whoever that is. He mentioned that he was called the Pilgrim by most people, especially in the churches that worship him. His enemies call him by a different name with which they might be more familiar. But his friends call him Solo. And he hopes that everyone here will too.
GM, you mentioned several symbols on his shoulders. One was of a skull and one was of a thunderbolt.
That's right.
Would Task have any knowledge given these particular symbols? Surely this skull he's seen before.
You have, and you do, recognize both of these symbols, in fact. You have multiple points of touch with each of them. The skull you recognize as the symbol of the travelers. This is something that was described for you by John Smith after his interactions with Tovax. And it's also something that exists inside of Keel's databases. It's not something that you have a lot of information about, but you do know that they're associated with entities who call themselves Miles and Seth. At some point in time, in a different universe, they took it upon themselves to begin traveling between universes. They have some goal, which they do not share with those in the lesser universes that they travel to. But it seems that wherever they go, they are trying to accomplish some sort of shoring up or some sort of long-term plan or goal against an unknown enemy. Keel has some speculation in his database on who or what those enemies might be, but most of it is speculation. Unsubstantiated rumor at best. But you do know that the travelers seem to stand for order. They seem to stand for maintenance. They seem to be trying to accomplish something to shore up the nature of the various universes they go to. And at the very least, Keel notes that they do not seem to be disruptive in any way. In fact, they go to great lengths to usually keep themselves free from the business of the people in the universes that they go to. He's even noticed a certain standoffishness about them. They seem reluctant to address directly the people in the places they go.
Oof, Keel describes someone as standoffish? Oof.
The Thunderbolt symbol you have less data for, which is saying something since there's not a lot for the travelers. You don't have a name for the organization, if indeed there is an organization associated with it. But you do know it's an older symbol than that of the travelers. You know that is associated with the medallion that has been described as a focus and a lens. And you do know that it was associated with beings of significant power in what Keel is unwilling to admit is definitely facts, but which he suspects might actually be hinting at a deeper and perhaps more real story, as it were, than even that of the travelers. Something to do with a long ago conflict and something that involved a splitting of universes. There are some suspicions that Keel has recorded of his own based on research that he's done on fragmentary and ancient documents, that the humans of your world didn't start on your world, although the proper archaeological records all exist for your histories, and there's strong suggestions of various evolutionary touch points. Keel has his own suspicions that they've been planted, that they are intended to give just enough substance that those who are willing to accept one narrative over another would be willing to move forward with that. In other words, he doesn't think that humans are native to the planet that he has called home his whole life, and that you call home, Task. And he believes that this thunderbolt symbol is somehow related to some conflict, which is in turn related to the seeding of these humans and other life, potentially, across many worlds. These notes then go into the explorations of Schneider, which eventually caused him to lose his place amongst the Tor. His teleportation required access to a plane of existence that was hostile to life. And although it was of great use to the contractors of the Tor that they should be able to access this plane very briefly to move from place to place in the physical reality, Schneider sought to make larger and larger gaps. Those holes into reality, into a different place, a place that was connected between different worlds, different universes, was what eventually caused Sir to require that he be put on ice permanently, lest he compromise reality. And that's all that you know.
Okay, thank you so much. What about his face? Does Task have anything to go on by the face of this individual?
Excellent question. It actually looks quite familiar. It's not exactly the same face. This one looks a little bit more worn, a little older maybe, a little more care lines around the eyes, in the forehead. But it looks an awful lot like Solomon Molbiga, also known as Horizon.
Very good. Upon that partial recognition, Task nods understandably and kneels.
That's not necessary, Task. I'm not here to lord over you. I'm here to work with you. I hope you'll join me.
If you stand for the truth you have claimed, I will comply. And Task gets back up.
Always the truth, Task. For all of you. I won't hide anything about who I am or why I'm here. I never have. Part of why I ended up exiled. I actually agreed to it at the time. It was my idea. But it was not meant to last as long as it did. I'm afraid those who are more interested in the status quo than in fixing things found it convenient to leave me stranded. I think each of you can understand that to some degree, having been put in a position where people just wanted to forget about you. To forget that you'd ever existed. To stick you into a corner and leave you there to rot.
Maybe not exactly that, but a shape of it.
Cyrus, you and Kale have a lot of reason to be upset with me. And I want to acknowledge that. Themrir, Zaniel, you too. There are things that have been done in my name which were horrible and unforgivable. Many things. Many deaths. It is not as I wish it could be, but the universe is a cruel place, bound by cruel laws. And ultimately, the only way to break those laws is to break the universe. Let me show you something. And the man puts his hands together and then gently pulls them apart. And this whole room sort of fades away. You get the sense of floating, of weightlessness, a sense of being kind of surrounded by warmth and comfort, but in a place where you believe that neither of those things truly exist. Whether you're physically present here or if it's some sort of way of moving just your perception is unclear, but you feel it feels very real and very present. You're hovering in a dark, empty void, except not completely empty. A tiny fraction of your visual field has just a spark of light in it. And then suddenly it's like you zoom in or you've rushed forward and you can see this vast, heavily cratered moon. It looks a lot like Earth's moon, but with almost wormholes through it. And the figure with you is in the midst of you. You're all sort of arrayed around him. You don't feel in control of your motions, but there's also no threats. You feel like you could comfortably choose to move forward or back or up or down, however you pleased, or wherever you pleased. And he points towards the moon. They've mined heavily here. Helium-3, mostly. Other trace elements. It's left it a little unstable, but not so unstable that the base here couldn't be utilized to good purpose here on this side of the moon. The shape needed to be changed a little bit, but Talon accomplished that over the last 100 years or so of his rule. It was a cruel, tyrannical reign, but I forgive Talon that. He's doing his best in a very difficult situation. I hope you will find it in your hearts, particularly you, Cyrus, and you, Kale, to forgive him as well. The refugee camps were not a good place, and you all deserved better than that.
The refugee camps, you're right, they're not a good place, but they were refugee for us. Our world left, and we landed there. It was what it was. I still don't know who this Black Talon guy is. Based on what you've just said, I'm starting to get a bit more of a picture. But I'll be honest, just overall, my friend Solo, I'm just a little confused about everything at the moment.
I think that makes sense. And I'm sorry that I'm leaving you partially in the dark. He looks around. But I intend to illuminate.
Mr. Solo.
Just Solo will do.
Okay. What was it that destroyed our world?
There is a war on, Kale. It probably, in fact, I know that you had no clue in your universe that it was raging until it washed over you. In a way, all realities have been under siege for a long time. Not only yours, but all of them working their way up the spiral. It's complicated. The physical realities occupy the center of a column that stretches from the least probable to the most. And around those realities are twined the reflection, which shares many of the properties of the physical universe, and Umbra, the shadow, which is twisted and dark and distorted, and yet bears some passing resemblance to the thing that cast it.
Hell yeah.
Kale, I think that you even now are finding greater affinity with the shadows than you've ever had before. And Solo taps his skull a few times.
Got
You
it.
are learning to be the shadows. Umbra might be a place that you find yourself comfortable in a few more years of practice. It can be a place where dreams come true, but you have to have a disciplined mind because nightmares can come true there too. There are nightmares that inhabit Umbra. Twisted, deformed creatures. They look like tallow, like stretched out candle. They take the shape of men, more or less. And the most powerful amongst them, they can look just like men, so much like them that they can pass unnoticed amongst a population. They can blend in, but they cast off a terrible magical field. The electronics of your world and many others would go haywire around them. The Good Men Society, they call themselves.
Oh, no.
They serve two terrible warlords. People I used to call friends. But they've become obsessed with the status quo, with maintaining universes exactly the way they are, and allowing nothing to change, nothing to get better. Miles in particular. It pains me so much. Once he was determined that the universe should be better, he had a brilliant plan. My father told me all about it, witnessed it firsthand, participated in making it possible. Until at the last moment, I guess they all lost their nerve. It was a big step to take, and in truth it would only have been a half measure. What good is changing the nature of men when the nature of the universe remains broken, remains arbitrary and cruel?
Is this just where you're from or everywhere?
I think you can
Or-
see it in your own worlds, in your own life. The arbitrariness of the universe, how everything seems to turn on a flip of a coin or a dice roll. Whether you win or lose, whether you live or die, random.
But even if they're not looking to make the world better, if they're just standing to hold the status quo, it's not working. My world's
No.
gone.
No, you're right. It's not working. And it can't. In fact, that's the discovery that the travelers made so long ago. The one that they're all trying to suppress, to fight. But the effort is empty. Ultimately, it's pointless. All they're doing is buying more time for the slow defeat. The universes are being consumed. They're unraveling. The energy of all universes is being drained. The least probable go first. They spin into existence and then dissipate in billions of years for them, but mere seconds for the topmost reality. They barely exist as an idea before they're gone. the greater realities, like the ones that you all come from, they exist for a time, but then they too pass. A matter of days, weeks, maybe even months for the greatest amongst them. But then they too have come and gone.
What about the people in them?
Just memories.
So, Snargle?
No. Snargle, they made it out with us. And Solo, we're going to get to that. I'm going to let you go through your whole thing, and then we'll get to that.
Your concerns are more important than my narrative. Snargle is fine. So is the Lady Blackbird. So is Naomi.
Okay.
And each of them will be coming with us.
I have a few questions for you.
In fact, I intend to bring everybody in the refugee camps with us. As many people as are willing. We'll each have a choice now that I'm here. Yes, Zaniel.
It took me some time to get over the euphoria of having some semblance of what I once had. Even more so than what I ever had. But I am still left having questions.
I understand. Danielle, I
Probably.
think that you're going to continue to have some questions of me and about me as we go forward. I'll be happy to answer them all. I hope you'll stick with me and allow me to give you those answers.
I have two that are very important right now.
Please.
The first one, you probably already know a lot about us. I can get that sense from you.
I've watched you from a great distance.
So you know that I've been burned before.
Yes. Hope. It often betrays us.
Don't say that name in front of me again, please. I put my will and my effort into believing that person. And it backfired. I thought I was doing something good, something right, and I almost costed everything.
Yes.
And I know they were quite powerful too, stronger than I was. And this just, unfortunately, reeks of that once more. You granted me power, you're asking nothing in return. So I need to know, is this like that again?
The pilgrim turns to look you full in the face from the eyes. I think you might feel that way, Zaniel, for a little while. I think it will be difficult for you to wrap your mind around why this has to be this way. And you might feel betrayed. I want you to know that it breaks my heart that you feel that way. And I hope you'll change your mind as you get to know me better and get to know what it is that we're trying to accomplish. All I can say, all I can promise is that I will continue to tell you the full truth and nothing but it. Why am I doing this? Why is this necessary? Why have you done the right thing? Because Zaniel, you have done the right thing. The choices that have brought you to this pass were good choices, made for the right reasons. It can be difficult to know which reasons are the right ones, and whether we made selfish decisions somewhere along the way that led to this pass. And it can seem bad at first. But it's not. Everything that we're doing here today is for the greater good.
That leads me to my second question then.
Please.
You keep speaking of change, about adjusting the status quo of these universes, as it were.
Yes.
I have done many travels through each different universe, different planes. And each one that I left no longer existed.
Yes.
Is that the change you're referring to? Did you have a hand in removing those?
I did. The energy, the total mass energy of all universes is spread across the column of reality. In order to make an adjustment, to make a change, to make a new thing, that mass energy must be regathered, reshaped, and then sent out anew. And this is why the travelers maintain the status quo. This is why they fight against the very thing that would cure the poison that is consuming the universe, all universes. It is inevitable that every universe will die as the energy is drained out of them, because entropy increases. And unless everything is broken, it cannot be fixed. Zaniel, Cyrus, Themrir, Kale. Task. Bear witness. What seems like a death is a rebirth. And the figure turns back around towards the moon and clasps his hands together again, and then spreads them towards the moon. And you see the base lit up on the surface of the planetoid, shines suddenly bright, and it sends a beam of energy out and touches upon exactly the point where the pilgrim is standing. And he gathers it sort of in one hand and then points back towards the moon, and a much brighter, much brighter, searing blaze issues from his fingertip to touch at the center of the base, or should I say circle. It reminds you, now that you look at it, the edging all around it of the rune-strewn circle that you just left. And the shape of the moon changes, and something opens in its midst, and the light gathers around its edges, and the moon is consumed. Material sort of slides into it, fragmenting away from its surface. The innermost center of it simply gone, the material opening and emptying, and a portal, much like the little ones that you open, Zaniel, but on a scale so much larger, opens up. There's the hint of movement from inside of that innermost circle. You see something spinning and moving around inside of it, and then tendrils start to extend, and it takes shape, and the matter of the moon is reformed, and you couldn't say for certain what it is you're seeing, but it looks a little bit like an eye staring out from the opening. An eye composed of galaxies, of stars gathered together in an endless stream around a single point, a black point. A gravitic singularity. And then things around you start to change. You can see the distant stars blinking out in the background. You can see the shape of the planet just beyond the moon darkening and twisting and changing. Tendrils reach up from it. It's kind of like all the dust and all the dirt and all the water and all the light is all being twisted and shaped and changed. And it becomes more like tendrils or floating cells. Less like being in the universe, looking around a solar system, and more like being inside a bloodstream, seeing a body. And shapes converge around what was the moon and around the universe all around you, twisting and turning and reforming until they make a rather decisive shape briefly around what was the moon, reforming and reshaping the structures. All the universe crawls, it twists, it turns. You can see all the various pieces, like being inside of an intestinal tract or watching the blood flow past. And the pilgrim turns back to you, and he looks at each of you in turn and says, I know it can seem like a death, but I promise you,
It's the beginning of something wonderful.
and we'll end there. I have one thing to read, and I will do that right now. The outro for season 5.
Well, shite.
Called All Things New.
Nice.
The universe is broken. Let us be honest with one another, you and I. I'm not sharing any secrets when I say that there is something deeply wrong with the world around us. We've known this truth our entire lives. When friends and family suffer at the hands of random chance, when the innocent die at the hands of the violent, it is then that we feel again the inherent wrongness of it all. With every tsunami or hurricane, each earthquake or wildfire, all the plagues and famines and droughts, then we see the cracks, the faults, the flaws. We cope with the pain and the sadness with proverbs and parables, rationalizing the tragedies, telling ourselves it could be worse. To keep the pain at bay, we invent encouraging stories of overcoming trials and challenges, to the point where we can't even imagine what a story looks like without conflict driving it. It shouldn't be this way, and it doesn't have to be. My dear friends, can you open your minds to another kind of world? One where the rule of the jungle does not prevail, where we need not be red in tooth and claw to survive, where one doesn't reach for the sun by climbing atop the bodies of their fellows. I've seen so many worlds now, so many different universes of possibility. In some, a single world cowers alone in the uncaring darkness. But the people of that world know warmth and comfort, friendship and love. In others, 1,000,000 billion points of light are scattered across the firmament, every one of them hosting a unique and special race, each striving for the stars. All the strange and wonderful peoples they can barely imagine, and the shared friendship they crave amongst them. And every single one of them, death. Wars break out, and plagues kill, and famines starve. Unique hopes and thoughts and dreams are ended in instances of violence. Oceans evaporate, continents sublimate, suns explode. So much potential. Gone forever. Every story, no matter how promising in its beginning, no matter how triumphant in its middle, always ends the same way. And then they died. It's the only universe we've ever known. Something beautiful, lying broken in our hands. When we think of heroes, do we not think of those who struggle with this broken reality, seeking to end all that is so amiss, to glue together if only they could, the scattered fragments of all that should be so good. I applaud them, but they're misguided. It isn't possible. Some things once broken can never be made whole. The cracks are visible, the weak points waiting for the slightest impact to break open again. All the happiness we try so hard to cultivate in our lives and our world can be blown apart in a moment. And everything we've tried so hard to make is dust in our hands. Until finally, our story ends and we join it. But there's another way. It comes with sacrifice, yes, with hardship and pain. But on the other side is more than just the promise of the same broken world, the same old problems. We can make something new. I can already see it. High-towered cities filled with light, nestled on new worlds of blue and gold and green, in a place where the rules are kind. No cuts or bruises, no aches or breaks, no conflict or competition, no wrath or war, no aging, no disease, no death. My friends, isn't such a vision worth striving for, working for, fighting for, worth any sacrifice? If you call yourself a hero, dare to dream this dream with me.
Together, we will make all things new.
And that's the end of Wrong Side of the Wall.
Much, Chris.
Holy shit! Wow. I wanted to ask that character so much more.
When we, so when I hammered home that every season had 6 sessions,
Nope.
we hopefully punked some people.
You lied to all of us.
Yeah.
And I'm one of us, so I feel personally attacked that you lied to me.
That concludes. Thank you so much, Chris, for writing and putting together season 5 of Wrong Side of the Wall. And that, along with my stories, brings the horror anthology of Doom Realities Wrong Side of the Wall to its epic conclusion. So lots and lots of things still to know and understand, which is great because there's more stories to come.
Because anything could happen when you're stuck in the Twilight Zone.
Zaniel, why'd y'all put your hands in those recesses?
There was a choice the task had to make.
What the flip, guys?
Run it back, man. Next week, Wednesday, May 31st, we will have a day of rest. We can obviously still hang out, but we're going to take that as a gap week. The week after that, which is June the 7th, we are going to kick into our big epic roundtable discussion / AMA for this series. It's really, really great. We're gonna come with your questions, come with your thoughts and feelings and all of that. We're gonna kind of march through it season by season, and then at the end we'll have like a big sort of like, zoom out and look at the whole thing, and then of course at the end of all that, I'm going to be talking about what's next.
What we're doing next.
I don't know if I want to hang out with you guys next week. I feel...
We won't be hanging out with us next week.
Feel a
It'll be
little
the week
dirty,
after.
Thomas?
Well, Nathaniel said we could still hang out with you next week, but
Fair enough.
I don't know how I feel about the proposition at this exact moment. Nathaniel, you're okay.
The Pilgrim did say that you'd feel a little bit betrayed.
Chris did this to me.
That you'd feel a little bit betrayed at first, but in the long run, you'll see he was right.
Death is just a part of life.
I can see now why you picked Themrir and Zaniel for this encounter.
May Jurgle remember us.
Okay, so I think
I really like that, by the way, Richard. That was well done.
I think you played that really well, where like this guy basically comes out like the Terminator, and we can't determine whether he's Terminator 1 movie or Terminator 2 movie,
Yes.
if you know what I mean, right? So it's like, oh, it's Solo. Oh, he looks like Solomon.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
looks like. And
Yes, he
then I was like,
mentioned
okay, my suspicion started having ground, and I was like,
And then he
now he's starting to
mentioned-
talk about Black Talon.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, he mentioned his enemies
Okay.
have a different name that you might know him
Yeah.
better by.
Yeah, I was hoping to like somebody would ask that and we end on that, but that's okay. Same for the amigos.
He doesn't think of himself that way.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, of course you don't.
Well, interesting because Richard was like, "Are we the baddies?" And I just like, it's relative, man.
I didn't get to ask a question. I had a very
So
question.
good. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing.
No.
I like that our characters just didn't outright die, but that we're in a situation where we have a choice.
We've been left in an interesting question.
And I like that he's more charismatic than I would have expected. So
Doesn't sound like a very good choice. Sure.
I don't know.
I can kind of interpolate what the two options are, and they feel not so good.
We haven't
Hold on,
seen
if-
what happens
if there-
next yet. So we
if there
can't
is,
judge
like-
this yet.
If there is like a what is it like what a prologue? That's the one at the end, right?
No.
Yeah,
Epilogue.
Epilogue, yeah, epilogue. So if there's like an epilogue bit where it's like we all have half an hour to ask questions to this person and figure it out, I'm sure they can all convince us one way or another why this is for the greater good of your own beliefs.
Right.
I don't know that it'll play out exactly like that, but you can be sure that this is probably not. I'll say for sure, and then it's probably that doesn't work. This is not the last you've seen of these guys.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I like that. I like that.
I was gonna say, you saying they could convince us this is for the greater good is maybe not correct. They can certainly try, and I bet they could even do a very persuasive job of it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, look at it this way.
I will say.
If we're go ahead, Nathan. Sorry.
I was going to say, I just wanted to echo Kirk's thoughts on how charismatic he came off as, because of course we had some idea, some small idea of Grimm and Reaper and Black Talon and 69 from Facing the Future, and then of course into their appearances in Wrong Side of the Wall. But of course, Oblivion only ever gets mentioned.
Yeah, who's that? I don't know. We're talking about the program.
So
I was going to ask if I recognized him.
So so it was cool to finally see.
Now, keep in mind,
Nathaniel, you said Oblivion only gets mentioned, but I'm pretty sure the guy that we were talking to is actually Oblivium.
The vast
okay,
oblivion.
so also, guys, also keep this in mind. When I touched that amulet and had that power, this person that gave me this power that we're now talking to had no qualms about me sending Reaper as far away as possible.
Yeah.
So that can mean a couple things. One is he's a bit more neutral than we expected, with his own ulterior altruistic motives that the lower peons may not share, because they've been corrupted by Black Talon, or something else. I don't know. So I'm just like,
Or a being who can bend planets to his whim is not too concerned about where.
Yeah, Reaper is muscle, dude. Reaper can. Also, he could probably just bring Reaper back later.
I also realized after I did that whole thing, I also wanted to make the blob dude suffer like his victim suffered, but I couldn't backtrack. I'm like, whatever.
I was extremely sad I didn't get a chance to quip at the blob about how much of a genius he thought he was, and yet he kept my gun on me when he tied me to the slab.
Kale was gonna be like, this guy's dumber than me.
I just had an automated machines, robots that tied you to the slab. They didn't have any orders about taking your guns away.
Kale, I've already told you this. You're not dumb. You're very smart. You're just not wise.
You're just witless.
It's like Task. High intelligence,
Yeah.
very low wisdom.
Wisdom was your dump stack, Kale, and that's fine.
And yeah, I can see like if me and Chris were to workshop it, I can see how Zaniel would follow this guy. So I have ideas.
I'm so bummed out right now.
Well, no, Christian. The thing is, Nathaniel's already revealed it to us. This isn't the end of Wrong Side of the Wall. We still have to do the Secret Six season, and that's going to be next week.
And a movie.
He did say it was the end of Wrong Side of the Wild, but it's not entirely true. There is that.
No,
DLC.
actually,
In a manner of speaking, the story, of course, does continue, but it won't be called Wrong Side of the Wall anymore.
Entropy never stops increasing.
Entropy increase will return. Yes.
well, actually, it may be the wrong side of the wall, but it's not the wrong side of the whale.
Also, to sort of fix something Richard said post episode, death is an extant form of life.
And we hope you.
That's
more-
not what Themrir was saying the whole time, though.
No,
We hope
what
you will
Richard
all. We hope you will all join us for our next season. Entropy Increaser is.
Entropy increases a lot.
Our
Entropy, 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Entropy Increaser is even
beasties.
more.
The sequel season, entropy decreases.
That's the prequel season.
Yes, we'll return with Wrong Side of the Whale, the nautical theme series.
Please no.
I want to play Moby Dick.
Please, Lord.
Wrong side of the dick.
Oh my god. Wrong
I-
side
I
of the
like-
draw.
I like to
Howdy,
picture how it
y'all.
looks
Oh
like.
boy.
He's like
We're still
molding it with
rolling,
his
by the way,
hands. That's a
boy.
really good picture.
That's exactly what he's doing, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
All right.
No, but I just really like the picture. It's really cool.
Oh my god.
Very Michelangelo, like Sistine.
Or like in the first MIB when they zoom in into the marble and it's like a whole universe in it. I was like,
Yeah.
that's what it reminds me of. It's like he's manipulating these marbles right now.
Actually, Chris, I just realized back in the combat where we were fighting the skeleton titan, there was actually a turn where what I actually wanted to do was shoot Zaniel. Do you mind if we go back?
Okay, yeah.
And
No, I'm good with that. I'll accept that.
Save state.
is it cool if we just? It was my bad, I know, but like
You're
I
right,
know
we haven't
you're
done really
also-
anything important since then. so
actually-
we could probably
Actually,
I know
you did
you're
say we
also
could
really-
have anything we wanted, and if Thomas wants that,
Yeah, I know you're. I know that it was a while ago, but you're a pretty understanding GM. So do you mind if we just retake from there?
Well, Thomas, the thing is that when like this is the type of game where when you defeat the boss, you can still load up the same save, but it just takes you straight to the credits.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, I hate that.
Saves
Okay,
over
I
save.
actually
You can
have-
check out your victory again.
I actually have an even earlier save than that, just at the Crucified Man. If you want.
Oh, sorry, that got corrupted. Damn.
I got
As soon as you reach a certain point in the game, all your saves get overwritten.
Yeah, we were actually playing Iron Man mode.
Only one save.
I have a save outside the door. That was the booby trapped house when I was playing as Noah. So.
I was actually-
I actually have a save back in D&D 5th, so we need to play that again, guys.
yeah, we gotta, yeah.
backup of my save. I keep a backup of my saves actually on my external drive. So
Oh, but those external
should
drives
be-
were in a universe that got destroyed. Oh no.
Okay, so you know that fight just before we go to fight the planet, Nathaniel?
Yes.
I'm gonna load that
didn't
one up.
happen.
I think we need to take it from there.
D&D 4th? Ooh,
Yeah.
ancient.
Yeah, I found this on a floppy disk.
That's right.
There.
We're actually going to play Commander Keen.
It's actually floppy as well. It's 8.5 inches.
Actually floppy, yeah.
Shall we say goodbye?
Yes.
Let's do that.
This is funny.
I hope you've enjoyed being here on the wrong side of the wall with us.
Yes.
It's a scary place. And in all fairness, Nathaniel led off with the doomed realities on the wrong side of the wall. But I hope you've enjoyed our brief time with each of them.
Yes.
We've got more entropy increases happening on the other side of this because entropy continues to increase. And so will our story.
Yes.
See you guys in a bit.
We'll see you again.
Bye.
Late.